chatting with Ed Stamm and Graham Winick in just a few minutes, but in a couple seconds. But we want to show a little video about where Film
what
Florida.
Film Florida is all about.
Hi, I'm Andy Garcia. Florida is not only a great place to live, but also a great place to make movies.
You rolling? Yeah. Jim Manos, writer, exec producer.
Hi, I'm Will Schreiner, the director of the film Hoot, shot right here in Florida.
Luigi De Laurentiis. I'm the producer of the movie.
Terry Miller. I was the executive producer on Transporter 2, and I'm the producer on South Beach.
Pedro Tinoco, president of Benevision Productions, a company incorporated in Florida for the production of TV programs.
Hey, I'm Larry the Cable Guy. A lot of y'all might recognize me by my picture in the Cracker Barrel Wall of Bad Checks. Or you might recognize me as the muscle guy in all the Solar Flex commercial ads. But let me tell you something. Florida is a great place to make a movie. And I ought to know. I did my movie here. Larry the Cable Guy helped.
That was pretty funny. I didn't realize how many films had actually been shot in Florida.
I don't think most people realize how much film actually goes on here.
I don't think they do. Joining us, we have Ed Stamm, the past president.
The current past president.
The current past president for Film Florida, joined by Graham Winick, the incoming, or now you are the president
I
of
am
Film
official.
Florida.
He's official.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know, Ed, let's talk to you first a little bit. Tell us, Film Florida, what is your goal? Why is the organization here? Why?
Well, Film Florida has been around for quite a long time, but in the past 5-6 years, it's evolved into this group that contains 4 entities, 4 councils. You have the Film Commissioners Council, which Graham's a part of. You have the Industry Council, which I'm a part of. That's the spine, the service companies in the industry. You have labor, which is also a spinal part of the industry, and then associations, which would be like Women in Film, AICP, those sorts of organizations. And Film Florida has had the strength to be a legislative force in Tallahassee to help with things like the tax credit that we're allowed.
Right.
You know, that you don't have to pay taxes when you're renting equipment or buying new products for production, and of course our incentive program. And so my involvement over the past 2 years has been in trying to take that group to the level of being recognized more readily throughout the state, and in some ways nationwide. And in some cases, I think we were able to do that.
Now, I understand that Film Florida is looked on as an organization that other states want to emulate or be like, and that's kudos to you for that.
Well, I think that's what's come about, and I'm glad to think that we did become a model because we tried real hard. We really did a lot of thinking about this, and I think we've been very successful at it. And it's not an easy thing to put together.
Right.
When you consider we've got close to 100 members.
Statewide.
Yeah. Statewide, spread across a state like Florida.
Right.
Up in the Panhandle, Jacksonville, all the way South Florida, Key West. And all these people come together 4 times a year as members of Film Florida and help to make things happen.
Yeah.
And try to be one voice.
Is it hard? I mean, when you've got that many organizations, and it's a competitive world out there. Is it hard to keep them all on the same page and looking at the big picture?
Well, it's always a challenge, but that's part of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build bridges through these associations and trying to get more industry represented. And to put the point you were saying before, when we have other states come to us, they say to us, I can't believe you're able to do this. We're so dysfunctional in our home state. How can you guys make this work? And that's kind of to our credit. It wasn't always the case. We often used to compete with one another, but now we put our differences aside and we market Florida as a whole, knowing that we're all going to benefit.
Somehow, some way, because most people don't shoot in just one market anyways in Florida. It kind of goes territory.
It can go across many areas.
Now, you have been the president for 2 years. You've been vice president for 2 years, correct? Now, what are some of the goals that you've set for yourself personally that Ed perhaps didn't meet, or you want to do something different?
What's next?
What's next? Do something next.
Well, I mean, I would say the last few years we've been watching the incentive program grow, and with the goal of trying to attract larger productions into the state. And we've had some limitations on what we've been allowed to do while other states have been growing. We finally have the incentive in a place where we're able to compete and able to overcome some of those other incentives and showcase what we have to offer: great locations, great crew, wonderful talent,
great weather,
entertainment, infrastructure, everything else that you can imagine. So now that we're there, now we have to start looking inward, because the next selling point as the industry changes is, on a regional basis, who's our talent? Who's the filmmakers who are going to speak to us and hopefully have their voices heard outside? So now we're going to go look inward and try to get a whole generation of filmmakers from Florida to stay here.
You mentioned that next generation of filmmakers. Are you guys working with the film schools here in Florida to try to encourage those guys to look here first instead of maybe heading to California or New York?
Well, we're trying to keep them here.
Absolutely.
That's been a major goal we've been trying to accomplish for several years. The incentive is going to give us that chance now.
Technology in the industry has changed so much as well. I mean, it used to be
I'm so glad you brought that up,
Right.
because the Film Florida kind of says it's Film Florida, but it's so much more now. There's digital media, there's television shows, there's commercials, there's music videos. In a few seconds, can one of you talk about how the Film Florida helps those organizations or those other types of productions?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the term Film Florida is kind of a ubiquitous term.
Right.
Filming these days can mean anything. Capturing is essentially the right word.
A music video is filming.
Right, but it doesn't really have the ring.
But it's not always. You're right, filming.
They call it,
We're
filming a music video.
You're
You
right.
ever say that?
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, as the industry is changing, and as it's becoming kind of a garage band entity of filmmaking now, where when you buy your Mac, it comes with all the software. You just buy a camera, and you're a ready-made filmmaker out of your garage.
You're right.
That's the filmmaker who we're trying to court, and we're trying to make them understand. It's not about necessarily
60 millimeter film, 35 millimeter film.
But that's always going to be around because that's the industry standard, and that's obviously what filmmakers would like to achieve and aspire to.
Right.
But we want to be translating what our industry is to a whole generation who is not using that tool currently.
Peter and I were talking earlier this week about Ringling School and how they have that whole digital media side. When people graduate from Ringling, they go to Hollywood.
98% of the grads leave the market.
Yep.
What can Film
I'm
Florida
sure
do?
Full Sail's probably similar too.
Well, there's that new Q that was put into the film incentive called digital media.
Right.
And that was intentionally placed in there through lots of discussion by our kind of group, Film Florida and the Film Advisory Council, to give us that avenue to grow that market so their students can stay and work here. And we have EA Sports joined our organization.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
We're talking
That's
about a game
huge group.
manufacturer that
Right.
makes some really cool games.
Yeah.
And there are countless applications. I mean, in digital technology is not just for filmmaking and gaming. It's being used in medicine. It's being used in real estate. And there are a lot of people in various sectors around the state who are now gaining this tool and thinking to themselves, maybe I should all of a sudden create a comic adventure with my skills. Well, we want them to feel confident to do so, but not only to feel confident, but to do it here.
I think that's great.
It's funny. I heard Larry Thompson talk that one of the companies that comes and recruits on his campus at Ringling is the CIA. He said that they wouldn't tell him why, but the CIA comes, and so obviously the skills that people have in sort of visual storytelling is becoming incredibly important in all kinds of industries. So I think that's great that we have those incentives in place, and we're really trying to target that young talent and keep them here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a celebration for you guys tonight.
Yep.
You're past president.
Well, I'm
after
past
today.
president, but this is actually the Legends Award.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is a very big thing, and you're going to find out more about that. I think you have some of the.
We do.
the
We
guests on there.
have two creators of the week, the Legends, coming on in just a few minutes. So thank you again. I mean, you did a wonderful, phenomenal job. We have to have you back, Graham.
Thank you.
Hats off.
It seems like every 2 years I get to come by and visit you guys.
You'll come back for when we dedicate his library.
There you go.
The Presidential Film Library. Yes.